Imagine a debt so vast, it surpasses the wealth of every nation on earth combined. A debt that affects your rent, your job, and the value of every dollar you hold. This is the American national debt, a number so astronomical it stopped being real. But it is real, and it was designed. In the heart of American democracy, the power to create money is controlled not by the government, but by a secretive quasi-private entity, the Federal Reserve. And its origins are the greatest untold secret of modern finance. For over a century, the Fed has told us its mission is stability. But history reveals a different truth. From its clandestine birth to the abolition of the gold standard, this is a story of how 1% gained ultimate control of your money and guaranteed a future built on endless debt. We're going deep inside the Fed's true history. To understand the debt bomb, we must first go back to an era of chaos, far from the public eye. Before 1913, the United States was a wild, untamed financial frontier. There was no central bank to smooth out the cycles of boom and bust. For the American people, this meant instability. For the titans of finance, the biggest banks on Wall Street, it meant risk. They hated the risk. They didn't hate instability, they hated the unpredictability of it. A system without centralized control meant they couldn't fully leverage their capital, couldn't guarantee bailouts, and couldn't ensure that their competitors would be wiped out in a downturn while they survived. They needed a mechanism to centralize power. They needed a central bank, but they knew the public and politicians would never agree to it. The stage was set for the greatest financial coup in history. It would be executed not in a high-rise office, but in absolute secrecy on a remote barrier island. The stage was set in November 1910. The location? Jekyll Island, Georgia. A secluded, private resort known only to the ultra-rich. The meeting was so sensitive, so potentially explosive to the public, that those involved took extraordinary measures to ensure absolute secrecy. Imagine this: 7 of the most powerful men in America, controlling an estimated 1/4 of the world's total wealth at the time, boarded a private train in New Jersey. They traveled under false names, using code words and strict instructions not to speak to the train staff about their destination or purpose. Who were these men? They were the financial titans. Nelson Aldrich, a powerful senator. Frank Vanderlip, the head of National City Bank, now Citibank. Henry Davison of J.P. Morgan & Co., and others representing the Rockefeller and Morgan financial empires. Their sole mission was to draft a bill for a central bank that would legally consolidate their power. The official narrative of the Federal Reserve states it was created by Congress to stabilize the economy. The truth is, the blueprint was drawn up by a select group of private bankers who stood to benefit the most. Over 9 days, in the utmost privacy, they engineered the financial system that controls us today. The challenge wasn't drafting the law, the challenge was selling it. The American public was deeply suspicious of central banks, viewing them as instruments of control for the elite. So the bankers devised a brilliant strategy. They called it a Federal Reserve, a name implying decentralized authority and public interest. They ensured the bill was championed by public figures, making it appear to be a governmental, democratic solution. They knew the only way to get the law passed was to wait for a crisis. The panic of 1907 had given them the perfect excuse. The economy needed a stabilizer. But the stabilizers they built were designed to save the banks, not the people. Their plan culminated 3 years later. Despite fierce opposition and strong warnings from figures who understood the true nature of the bill, the stage was set for a dramatic vote. In 1913, Congress passed the Federal Reserve Act on Christmas Eve, while many members of Congress were already home for the holidays. And here lies the great tragic irony. President Woodrow Wilson, who signed the act, would later reflect, "I have unwittingly ruined my country. A great industrial nation is controlled by its system of credit. Our system of credit is concentrated. We have come to be one of the worst ruled, one of the most completely controlled and dominated governments in the civilized world. No longer a government by free opinion. No longer a government by conviction and the vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and duress of a small group of dominant men. With the stroke of a pen, control over America's money supply was privatized and consolidated. The machine was officially running. And now that the machine was built, we need to understand how it actually runs. The Federal Reserve does not just sit in an office. Its core function is to control the money supply, and the primary tool for this control is debt. Many people believe the government prints money. That's partially true, but the real power lies in the process known as fractional reserve banking, and more recently, quantitative easing, or QE, when the Fed wants to inject cash into the system. It doesn't print paper and drop it from helicopters. It buys bonds, often government debt, from commercial banks. It pays for those bonds by literally creating new digital dollars out of thin air. This is crucial. The money created by the Fed enters the system as debt. This massive leveraging of the nation's future is how the American debt spiral began. Every crisis, every downturn is now solved by the same method, creating more debt. This system guarantees two things. First, that banks are always bailed out, and second, that the value of every dollar you save is constantly being eroded. But the debt machine still had one physical constraint: gold. For centuries, the dollar was tied to gold. Known as the gold standard, it placed a physical limit on the amount of money the government could print. It provided a discipline that the bankers, who wanted limitless power, could not abide. This brings us to the most defining moment in modern financial history, August 15, 1971. Facing mounting inflation and geopolitical pressure, President Richard Nixon gave a televised address, announcing the temporary suspension of the gold standard, a move that was quickly made permanent. He stated this was necessary to protect the dollar. The financial system never looked back. The moment President Nixon formally closed the gold window, the debt machine achieved ultimate unchecked power. The dollar became a fiat currency, backed by nothing more than the promise of the government. The restraint was gone. The moral and financial consequences were immediate and profound. It was the moment the debt bomb was truly armed. From 1971 onward, the national debt began its steep, exponential climb. With no physical constraint, every subsequent financial panic, from the housing bubble to the credit crisis, was met with even more massive, unprecedented money creation. This constant erosion of purchasing power is not a flaw in the system. It is the defining feature of a system designed to transfer wealth from savers to debtors, from the many to the few. The stage is now set for our most important question. If the human experts and regulators have failed to manage this system for decades, what does pure, unbiased data tell us? It's time to bring in the algorithms. The question remains, if the system is so fundamentally flawed, why did human regulators and economists allow it to continue for over a century? The answer lies in human nature, in trust, in politics, and in the inherent bias of human analysis. But what if we remove the human element entirely? We tasked an advanced AI model trained on a century of global central banking data with one simple goal: analyze the decisions of the Federal Reserve since 1971 and predict the outcomes, ignoring all human opinion. The AI's verdict is devastating. Through its deep analysis, the algorithm identified the post-1971 system not as a stabilizer, but as a perfect, self-perpetuating mechanism for crisis. The model showed that after every major quantity easing event, every infusion of new, digitally created debt, the subsequent surge in asset prices, like stocks and real estate, was mathematically guaranteed to create a bubble, followed by a guaranteed crash. The cycle is not random. It's a predictable algorithmic loop. Crucially, the AI identified the system's true output, wealth transfer. By analyzing who holds the debt and who receives the newly created money, the algorithms proved that the system is optimized to push wealth from the 99% who hold cash and wages to the 1% who hold leverage and hard assets. Instability, in the AI's view, is not a bug. It is the defining feature of this financial architecture. The most frightening finding? The AI can no longer model a scenario where the current system resolves the debt problem through traditional means. The algorithms are unanimous. The system is running out of road. The current path of debt and inflation points toward one inevitable conclusion: a major currency reset or a severe global economic restructuring. The machines see the truth that human experts, bound by political or institutional loyalty, choose to ignore. The data speaks for itself. The Federal Reserve System is mathematically destined to fail. The analysis is complete. The system is revealed. But the most critical question remains: what can you, the ordinary saver and investor, do about a force as powerful as the Federal Reserve? The answer is simple. You cannot change the system, but you can build a shield against it. Your plan must be diversification, away from the very assets the Fed degrades: fiat currency and cash. This means deliberately shifting your wealth into assets that cannot be printed into existence. First, real assets. Protect your purchasing power with assets that retain value through inflation. This includes physical gold and silver, which have served as ultimate stores of value for millennia, and strategically purchased real estate, which hedges against inflation and debt debasement. Second, strategic investments. Look to companies that produce genuine, tangible value, whose growth is not solely dependent on debt expansion. Focus on companies with real innovation and strong balance sheets. And yes, learn to understand the decentralized digital alternatives that exist outside of central bank control. Third, financial literacy. This is your strongest armor. The true mechanism of power is the ability to confuse the public with complex jargon. Financial literacy is the only way to expose the system's flaws and protect your family's future. The fight is won not in the voting booth, but in your personal investment decisions. The real secret isn't what the Fed prints, it's that they have the power to print it. The system created on Jekyll Island was designed by the 1% to benefit the 1%. But today, armed with the knowledge of history, strategy, and the unbiased truth revealed by AI, you are no longer a victim of the system. You are now a strategist. You understand the rules of the game. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into 50 years of debt. We hope this journey through financial history and AI analysis has empowered you. Don't let the secrets of the past control your future. Subscribe now for more profound insights into global wealth and economic strategy, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a lesson in self-defense against economic power. We'll see you in the next one.